Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing good. Let's see who we got. Lori Killer, Plywood. What's going on? Raja Pendago, Hana, Dad Cars. Hey, John Doe, how you doing? We're having a good time out here. Hope you guys are too. Hit the like button. If you had a heart at all, you would. See the thumbs up. See the thumbs up. See the thumbs up. Hope you had a good time watching. Woohoo!
All right, I gotta take that thing off. My face is hot. I'm gonna demonstrate why, or demonstrate how hot my face is. Look at that, it's red and sweat pouring off of it. Hey, Runa, Raja, Dad, Matthew, cold out. Heck yeah, man. No, the chain's supposed to be like that, cold out. You need to check more into that. You can throw a chain. You can absolutely throw a chain. But some reason I never do. I don't know why. Everybody's, oh man, the chain's ready to fall off. Well, if you check into carving, you check into carvers, that's probably a little tight, actually, for carving. Now, I don't know if y'all heard this thing. It does not sound good at all. And then yesterday, I don't know what happened, what's going on. When the weather's been warming up, a couple weeks back on a Sunday, I had problems with that saw. And I got a feeling it was going to be like that today because it was like that yesterday. It was really, really warm. And let me take this hoodie off so I can cool off quicker. But it come out here, it was hot and it was cold. It started wind blowing, it rained a little bit. And I'm like, I need to put a hoodie on. I need to not put a hoodie on. I need to this, I need to that. And I was wrong about all of it. No matter what, I sweated. Hey, be sure and hit the like button if you haven't already, guys. Heck yeah. All right. Okay. Anyway, I thought that'd be fun. Boss lady brought me that mask home yesterday, and she said, heck, I bet you'd wear this on live. And I said, I'll bet you're right. We got all kinds of other masks, so it's a good time. I think it's a good time. All right, I'm going to put some fuel in this thing, but I don't think it's going to start. What I ran into yesterday, and it was a couple Sunday, it was about a month ago. It got real warm on a Sunday morning. It had been real warm Saturday. It might have been through the week. Heck, I don't remember. I just remember that it was really warm. The weather was, and the thing didn't want to run. And I don't know what the heck. You know, if it don't, it don't. I guess I'll try to finish it with 16-inch bar. I don't mean it'll come out very good, but I'll try. Okay, it's fueled up, so let's see if it was. Oh, it's through the wire around me. I'm okay with that. All right. You hear that? Look at my glasses. Oh, I gotta shut that off. Let my glasses clear out. I mean, that's bad. It's just my face is so hot. What it is from wearing that mask for so long. But so far we got a parrot here. We got a pirate festival coming up in a little over a month, and I thought, hey, I'll crank out a couple parrots. I have made 2 parrots. Man, my face is red. I mean, I look like I've been out in the wind or something like that. I mean, I'd say my blood pressure's really up because I was getting really hot. And, you think about them COVID masks and all that stuff they talked about. You're breathing in your own carbon monoxide. So, it's a wonder I'm alive. Let's see what we got. Wiz, Tony Newton, Raja, cold out? Heck yeah, it could be. I take that filter off altogether. Cold out, that could just be, you could be right. And it changes with the temperature. That I would buy. Let's see what we got here. EW, awesome member of the channel, just like Carving Wizard. What's going on, buddy? Glad to see you. Be sure and hit the like, help us out. My little thumbs up, neon thumbs up. I like it. Okay. All right, let me try this again. I don't know if my head's cooled off enough yet, but he's blocked out. I just got to finish him. I don't know about this. I made that lower jaw awful small, but I'm stuck with it. I didn't have my glasses on. I have a good excuse. I was carving it with a monkey mask. Cut me a break. Okay, but I need to I want to have at least 2, if not more of these. This will be the smallest one. And Boss Lady just paints these just excellent. I mean, she does a heck of a job. So I need to have at least 2 of these before that thing. And this wood is super duper wet. You can see it's white pine. It's like kind of like cutting oak. It's so wet. You're pushing the water out of the way. All right. Anyway, I'll shut up and carve. Shut up, fatty. Nobody wants to hear you. And I got to give hats off to Creation Dust 777. Just put out a video this morning. 2 bears hugging each other. And during that video, the recording of that video, you know, he's pretty heavy-handed with that saw. He runs that 550 XP with the carve 10-inch carving bar on it. And I mean, he put it in my hand down there in North Carolina, and it's like having a it's like somebody handed you a 4-cylinder car engine. I mean, that thing is heavy as can be. And anyway, he was knocking out a block with it, and he knocked the chain off instead. And I definitely give him credit for showing that, because you know, things go wrong. It's just the way it is. Most people don't want to show that. And that guy's as honest as the day is long. So definitely, without a doubt, check that video out today. Creation Dust 777. He put out 2 bears hugging. It's just an awesome video. There's some ice fishing in it. And really nice video. But things happen. But yeah, that's probably a little on the tight side of carving bar. But I'll go. There's a story behind that. I'm the same way. Things go wrong. Things go wrong. I don't care. Be sure and hit the like button. Hey, boss lady, I made it for, I'd say about 40 minutes with the Bigfoot, or the that gorilla mask on. It's pretty good stuff.
It's
But
Donkey
look how red I am. Oh, I'm sweating so bad. Huh?
It's Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong. Yeah, that's it. Donkey Kong. I even put that in the description. It was going to be Donkey Kong.
Honey, there is literally, I see stuff coming off of you, like your head.
Oh, steam. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's hilarious, isn't it? Yeah. Coming off my head. That's the way it is. Guys, hit the like button. I don't know why it's so low. There's 82 people watching. Somebody already gave us $2. That's awesome, too. Heck yeah. Hey, Dylan, what's going on? EW, Millie Maple, how's it going? Dad, Millie Maple says hi. She ain't coming over here, though, I don't think. Diana, the boss lady, she's not going to. Are you going to pop in, boss lady?
Hi, Millie. Hi, everyone.
Okay, she did. She made me wrong. All right. So anyway, parrot, little parrot. That's going to be little parrot. Little parrot. He's coming out all right. Kind of little parrot. He's got a little parrot complex. Little parrot complex?
Really?
Yeah, he's a little parrot. He's kind of got a little parrot complex. Yeah. Okay, all right. I better shut up now. It's giving me dirty looks. See how my glasses are fogging up? It's all your fault. You're putting pressure on me. Hey, would you be a nice lady and bring me a cup of coffee out here? I know I probably don't need it as I'm sweating, but I just like to have some more coffee. You know, that's kind of the way
How
I
did
do.
you feel when you woke up?
What?
How did you feel when you woke up?
What time did I wake up?
No, how did you feel?
Oh, I felt fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I still got something in here, but it's been in here for like 4 days now. Or I'm not in here. But, you know, I mean, yeah, I ain't had a fever since Friday night, so I'm good. Party time. Excellent. All right, okay. Done, I'm gonna teach him how to say something like give up the booty or walk the plank. I don't know, something. You know, whatever a bird would say. lady. Coffee. All right. I don't care what these people on YouTube say about you. You're nice. Will she be nice and bring me a Miller Lite this time? I don't know. Let's see what we got here. Heck yeah, the likes is getting better. 32. Dad Carves. Dylan. EW. Carving Wizard. Heck yeah. Carving Wizard and the Electric Whittler. Awesome members of the channel. That's great.
Daisy, no.
Huh? Oh, what's she doing?
Uh,
What?
Where'd you get that?
What?
That rug.
The what?
The rug.
Oh, whenever they killed that deer, Chad bought that back in January to lay on in that blind. And then when they killed that deer, I brought it out here to catch the blood because I was like, you know, I'm not wanting to tear up my own stuff.
And you didn't throw it away?
No, let the weather wash it off and then I use it. You know? You know, I'm going, I like to be. We'll take you on a magic carpet ride, right? Huh? Man, my cough smells like a. Did you hear that? My laugh? I've got that phlegm in my throat. I sound like a smoker. You know it? When I laugh? Okay. Well, they can't win everything. That's just product of being sick. All right, let's see. Farmer Hannah, how's it going? Tony Newton, what do you know? Heck yeah. All right, let's see what we got here. Amazing animals. Let's see. We're paying respect to the owl by carving them. Oh, yeah, heck. They pay, you know, even do taxidermy on them. I think it's illegal, but, you know, I mean, shoot, they're really neat. Especially when they get hit by a truck or something, you know. Dead owl in the middle of the road and it's in the highway. All right, good enough. I don't even, I think it's too wet to even bother sanding it. I'll probably put the eye holes in it real quick. And then I'm either going to move to something else or I'm going to move to something else. Let's see. Get a drink of that coffee. I thank the boss lady if she didn't come out and make me. See, we got 35, 39 been on. It's 9 o'clock, so we've only been on for 70 minutes. Wow. Hey, Lori Keller, what's going on? Cheech, glad to see you. Last Breath Woodworks, hey, man, what's happening? Glad y'all getting out of bed. You can smash a like for me. That's awesome. Like my neon thumbs up. Haha. Well, I like how that does that. It brightens it. How about that? All right. Okay. So, I think I'm going to go ahead and give this guy eyes and let him dry for a while. In fact, I don't even think I'm going to give him eyes. I think I'm going to take him, set him over here and just leave him alone for now. Let him dry, because, I mean, that is some wet wood. Hadn't been down very long. And then my thought is to make another one, make a bigger one though. So, let me get here to my handy dandy log pile and see what I got that I'd want to use for a parrot. I mean, I got a lot of 2.5 and 3 foot bare size logs, and honestly, I hate to waste them on a parrot. But I guess it's not really a waste, is it? And no matter what you make, somebody will buy it. How about that? I'll tell you what, I got some of the scotch. I'm going to have to dig for it though. And I wouldn't mind using it. I don't know if it's any good or if it's, you know, how it'll do compared to white pine. And I've heard some say that it cracks real bad. And that may be, let's see, I'm trying to dig my way down that piece. Elvis has not left the building. I'm just on the side of it. Trying to dig out a piece of this. It's some kind of pine. I think it's Scotch. I don't know. I could be totally off. I guess it kind of looks like a blue spruce though. And if it's blue spruce, great. Because I know blue spruce is good. But looking at it, I'm just not sure. I don't know my wood piece is very good yet. Okay, and then I'm used to having the dolly to get a piece of wood like this over there. Hey, you know what I can do? I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. You guys are going on a magic dolly ride. How about that? Yeah, right. Okay. So there's a piece of wood pile I've been digging in. And I use my dolly for just because it gets out there just right. I've got my cradle on the dolly. And that said, I'm gonna move this piece of wood over here. Close enough. And I can pick it up the rest of the way. And put that back where we had it. And that's what I'm thinking is make another one. I figured I want to have at least 2 or 3 of them for that pirate festival. And I made one for a tractor show last year, and it sold at the tractor show. And then I made one for the Backwoods Fest in Thornville, Ohio, and it sold while we were there. So they sell. Can't complain about that. It's a little high. I don't know if I dug the head out first, I guess maybe. I don't know. Man, it's had some kind of, I guess we'll find out what it's like. But that's the kind of semi-flat, I guess, piece. Wrestle that piece in there. It's on the, takes up the whole camera, doesn't it? I suppose I can get back a little bit. And somebody who checked in 20 minutes ago will come back an hour from now, see I'm still on here, and they'll think I'm still working on the same bird. How about that? Man, hot, cold, hot, cold. It's a little rainy Kind of weird. It's coming out of the southeast. I think it's rotating, honestly. But I'm getting the east wind, which blows right in here on me at the moment. And that's good because I'm warm. Okay. Let's do, that one's still got fuel in it. The non-still, the Neotech, it's still got fuel in it. So I think I'll start with it and dig your head out. So read the cracks. Big long crack going that way. This piece has probably been down a while, so and that's a good thing about not being in a hurry. You got a while, a month and a half. You might get in there and find by the time you're getting ready to sell it that it's got some cracks in it and stuff that you probably better wait to sell it until you can fix that stuff. So, oh, I dropped my paint can. I'm gonna mark the head area off real quick. And be sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. Let's see, we got Wizard. Hey, Gen 1, what's going on? Last Breath Woodworks. Let's see, we got Lori Keller and the Wizard again. All right. Heck yeah. And a lot of these people are content creators, like Last Breath Woodworks. He makes awesome, he does awesome wood turning of different bowls and different products like that with epoxy. And he mixes different types of woods in, and he pressures all that down, and then he wood turns it into something awesome. Check him out. Be sure to subscribe to him. He makes some neat stuff. The Carving Wizard, he's an up and coming flex shaft carver. Heck yeah. Raja Bende Gohana, he's an awesome, absolutely awesome wood turner using primitive wood turning tools. It's pretty neat. Really awesome dude. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Same thing. I'm just going to make the head straight. The only difference between this one and the other one is this one's going to be bigger. I kind of think I want to take it down there. Go down a size on the at least a small link out, because that's awful high for the head. Or if I just took the, even if I just took the, hey, what about it if I get paint on my shirt? At least it's the same color as my shirt, right? I'll take this one, set it off to the side, put this one back on there. See, that shouldn't be too high. Whoa, man. Shall we dance? Okay. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay. All right, let's make something happen here. Hope you guys are ready for some more noise. I don't know, honestly. Yeah, I got enough. I was going to say, I don't know if I got enough fuel to complete this, but I do. Okay. And I may not get it done on this live. I don't know. I'm going to try. I can't remember if I heard this one fire or not. Maybe not. Man, that one don't want to run. How about that? Well, that's always something. How's that look on fuel? It's not bad. I got this one. What the heck? I thought it was a snake. You know, if somebody pops in and says, "What's this guy making?" Tell him I'm making Leonardo DiCaprio carving. Let's see what we got here. Wizard, Last Breath Woodworks, Grumpy's Laid Back Carvings. What's going on, buddy? Glad to see you. Heck yeah. Carving Wizard, Last Breath. All right. Heck yeah. I call Grumpy Cheech. He don't mind. Sawdust in the direction of my coffee cup. That's never good. Set it up under there. Yeah, she didn't bring it out in the nice coffee cup I got from Cat's Peace, so I wouldn't have to worry about getting sawdust in it. But that's all right. I'm just glad she brought me coffee. How about that? executive decision here on this thing along the way. The wood piece of wood, just the way it's cut, it's leaning out toward the phone a little bit. And so he's going to be a left turning. The chest of the bird's going to be right here. So I'm going to go ahead and start to dig that out now and at least mark it off with a saw and dig away at it a little bit at a time. But it's got basic head scapes. Take another drink of the coffee, see what you guys got to say. Heck yeah, 50 likes. Be sure and hit that like button. Look at that thing light up, the neon, as I put my finger up there. Tony Newton, the carving wizard, awesome member of the channel. Hey, small wood lot, what's going on? Glad to see you guys. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Mm-hmm. All right. So anyway, just digging that chest out a little bit at a time. And I'll tell you what, that's some good hard stuff, whatever it is. I think it probably is. Maybe scoffed or something. I'm going to try this. Well, I'll tell you what. Put some fuel in this baby first. I do want to try this other saw. Again, see if it'll run. And it's just, I feel like that smaller 043 chain is just getting dull quick. And it sure be nice if I could make this thing run. I don't know what the deal is. It floods easy. And a little bit at a time, I've been adjusting it, but not really. I've done it a couple times, a quarter turn, and haven't followed it up. Yeah, I think it's I think I flooded it earlier. What I think. Lock that. I mean, I can crank on it for a while and see what happens. I mean, that's a. There we go. That's what it was. It's flooded. Which that's what I thought. For whatever reason, it floods easy. I don't know why. But I just keep adjusting it a little bit at a time. It runs good when it's running. Pow. Okay, I'll go to the other one. But anyway, that one, a heck, once I got it unflooded, it ran great. Let's see, 83.57, not too bad. Who we got? We got the Carving Wizard, awesome member of the channel. Raja Bendigo Hana, be sure to check them guys out. Tony Newton, let's see who we got here. What's that say? Trick Attack? It's the Trick Attack. All right, man. Hey, how's it going? All right. Heck yeah, guys, be sure and subscribe to Raja Bendigo Hana and Carving Wizard. There are content creators that just happen to be watching right now, and they make really cool stuff. Anyway, be sure to hit the like button. And I'm going to go back to this one for a little while, I think. So I got a lot of thinning this one out on the other side. raining pretty good out here, and I'll tell you what, yeah, it's getting on the phone even. I guess I better move it in. I'm gonna say, I'm back in here about 3 feet. I have an overhang in the building here that sticks out about 3 feet. And yeah, it's all over the phone even. Hold on a minute. I'll wipe the top of that off. Okay. But anyway, it's getting all over the phone. It's getting in here to me, even though I'm this far back in here. It's not bad though. It's not like anything I'm gonna cry about. Let's see what we got here. 10:06. Been on here a little over 2 hours. Rhinestone Susan, what's going on? Or Suzanne. Be sure to check her out. Rhinestone Suzanne. And hey, don't forget to hit the like. Okay, let's go. Which is good. I mean, it's good, a little snow. And not only that, y'all get to hear all that rain coming down. But the heck of it is, even for the little saw, I've probably only got enough fuel to fill this thing up one time. I'm guessing. I better check the oil too. But it's raining pretty good. I mean, as y'all can hear, on this metal roof, it's as loud as can be. Probably sounds nice if you're still chilling, just kind of laying in bed or in a comfortable chair, just chilling out, relaxing, acting all cool, shooting some b-ball outside of the school. As long as a couple guys that are up to no good come start trouble in your neighborhood, it could be okay this morning. I wonder if I'll get a content mark and not be able to monetize my videos because of that. Oh, you can't sing a song, any song, without, I mean, I get that. I'm not complaining about it, don't get me wrong. But you can't do that stuff, but, I mean, that was a song. And the AI, they trained that AI to put you down. Anything that they can get you for, use it. I'm gonna try to get a patent on the word hello. Just imagine how much money you could make if you had a patent on something like hello, goodbye. Hello. I hate you, I'm not to see you again. No, that's not right. Okay. See what we can do. ground. Woo! Heck yeah. Let's see what we got here. 52 and 79. Last Breath Woodworks, awesome member of the channel. Baby Kisses, awesome member of the channel. John, awesome member of the channel. Heck yeah, glad to see you guys. Plywood, awesome member of the channel, and also our winner of one of our carvings from a Friday drawing. Heck yeah, looks pretty good. And he took the one that, he wanted the one that I just made that night, the valve that I burnt with the torch. And so we'll be shipping that one, the plywood, there tomorrow, actually. Am I out of coffee? Oh, yeah. Oh, it's awful. I'm out of coffee. That rain sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Let's see, how long have we been on here? 2.5 hours-ish? Yeah. I guess I'll do a little bit of e-barking. And then I think that I'm going to end up doing some of that. I'll try to peel that bark off and then come back this afternoon. Because I'm pretty much out of fuel. How much? I wonder if I got enough in this one to get that bark off. Yeah, I'd say I do. And then come back this afternoon or evening and finish this guy. So I'm going to start working on that bark now and get it off there. on it real quick. I do want to get that cleaned off. It's going to make more sense if I get all that off there before I come back to it. Makes sense to me anyway. Boy, that rain, I can hear it even through the headphones. I don't know if I got enough fuel to fill this thing up again or not. Well, this is down in the loop. I ain't bad. So I'm getting down to a low fuel drive. Okay, I think I got about half the tank there. I might have to get some. I don't know if I got enough to make a gallon or not. Okay. What? stop there, and I'll tell you why. It ain't because I'm out of fuel. Man, I'm telling you, I'm burning right there. Just where I've been holding that thing. And it's funny because this arm just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I mean, you kind of expect that to happen though, but this one, I need to get a left-handed saw and try to work this one out more. That's what I need to do. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and quit there for now. Let's see what we got here. We got John, Last Breath Woodworks. Yabba dabba doo. How about that, Keanu? Baby Kisses, awesome friend of the channel and a member. Night Owl, the artist formerly known as Aiden Fletcher. Glad to see y'all in there. But yeah, I'm all sweaty. Been on here about 2.5 hours. Hey, Susie Q, what's going on? Spike Willow, what's going on, bud? Yeah, I hate to leave, seeing all these different people. Runic, hey, bud, I seen you in there earlier. Yeah, I'll tell you, it does, doesn't it? It keeps him, hey, y'all can call him whenever you want, Runic. He won't hear you. How about that? Heck yeah. Get it checked out. No, it's not that. See, Baby Kisses, it's just where I've been using it so much this morning. It's that muscle. And what's happening is it just keeps getting harder and harder, and my whole arm just keeps getting more tone and you know, more muscle and all that. It's just that from working out, you know, that's all it is, you know. And anyway, hey, Dylan, what's going on, man? Glad to see you in there. Heck yeah, you guys must have an early service then. Mine ain't till 3:30. Raja Pende Gohana. Guys, subscribe to him. He's an awesome woodworker. If you haven't subscribed to him already, and a lot of you I'm sure have, yeah, that's what I'm getting. No, Susie, I'll have a left arm that'll end up being a Popeye, and this one will be like, hey, little girly man, he come to pump you up. Okay, but anyway, heck yeah, guys, check Raja out. Yeah, that's what I got. All right, y'all, here, let me do a recap real quick. How about that? Let me zoom around here. And here's this guy. You know, he's got music going in there. He's probably listening to Megadeth or something. I don't know, he just kind of looks like a wild-haired type of fella, you know? And anyway, that's what we got. There was a wheelbarrow with a bunch of wood pieces in it. You know, my cutoffs to burn. As soon as this rain stops or slows down, I'm going to set a fire. I got a lot of scrap wood to burn. Plus, it's all over the ground here from just from this morning. I got to clean all this up. And it takes me about 15, 20 minutes after every live usually to clean up, especially with this kind of amount of work. But here's a little one we made earlier. Looking pretty good. Yeah, that wood is really, really wet though. And I might even make him like a dowel, shape it in the tongue a little bit, drill a hole in him and have a tongue coming out of him. I don't know, but that's what we got. Yeah, and the big old pile of stuff here in the Big Rock Candy Mountain. Okay. All right, guys, here's what we got. I'm going to say 6, 6:30, 7. It's going to depend. EW, he might be live streaming, and I don't know what time he quits. I won't come on until he's done, that's for sure. But I appreciate y'all being in here. Let's see who we got now real quick there. Full Chisel. Yeah, hey, check Full Chisel out, too. Yeah, I know, it's cleanup. They don't realize that it's like the second half of the carving day begins at cleanup, doesn't it, Full Chisel? Hey, y'all check Full Chisel Chainsaw Artistry out, too. He's pretty good. That's what I got for today. And I'll catch y'all this afternoon sometime after 6. I will put up the thing at least a half hour beforehand saying that we're coming to kind of notify everybody ahead. Hate to leave, 50 people watching, but that's pretty awesome. That's what we got. Come back when you can stay later, you smucksters.